And welcome to another Mental Wealth Moves podcast. I'm your host, Casey Dubrovic. And for today's episode, we have a very special guest for you, and quite the doozy of an episode. Joel Greene and I, local inventor here in Flagstaff, Arizona, and all around interesting human, we go deep and talk about many different topics. I've been working on this episode for a while, and I'm excited to release it. We talk about the history of sauna. We talk about some of the social implications of sauna. We talk about ROHCT's wellness circuit and some of the benefits of that. We go deep. We talk about original sin. We talk about suicidality and treatment of suicidality. We talk about the difficulties of navigating adolescence. We talk about the bell curves of every disorder and existing on those bell curves. We talk about the educational system in America and some room for improvement. We talk about some of the pitfalls of the extreme specialization in medicine. And we just have a good time chatting. So let's get right into it. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in.
Doing it, Joel.
Casey, we're doing it.
We've been talking about this one for a while. Finally doing it. Yay. All right.
High five.
We made it.
Oh, man. I'm
That's
so
actually
relaxed
recorded.
now.
Good, yeah. We just walked you through like at the beginning of
Yeah.
the Taste of Wellness. You got an abbreviated version of it. What were your thoughts?
Oh, man. That was something I certainly needed.
Right.
Right? Yeah, you took me through you can explain, it's your equipment, you can explain it, but you took me through a lovely vibration plate first, and felt all my dad bod jiggling. That was bloody fantastic. Yeah, I could feel the that increase in circulation and all that. That was really good. Problem is I'm so relaxed now. I'm going to be useless for this recording.
That's all right. I love that. Yeah, so we got you on the vibration plate, kind of wake everything up. It's just that starting point. Like I said, we're all kind of stuck in mostly human doings, especially people that have a bunch of projects going and working on a bunch of things. And so being able to, again, quickly shift from that autonomic nervous system, that human doing, fight, flight, freeze, like I got to get this done, provider, all those things. And then being able to shift back to that parasympathetic, that rest and digest. And then the vibration plate, I think, really does a good job of fast tracking your remembrance of your capacity to do that.
I like that. Yeah, I'm in my head all the time. Maybe that's why I need to shake instead. Maybe I should do like a headstand on that thing. I don't know. It's just, yeah. Well, it is so easy to get on that track. Just grinding. Got to get the stuff done, right?
Big time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's exciting, but it's exhausting. And then you did the shorter version, but we're on a time crunch, so here we go.
Yeah.
One more thing,
Right?
You made it today, and so something's better than nothing, I think.
Oh yeah.
And then so you got the full vibration plate experience. So I think it's really good.
That
You
was
got the full
beautiful.
10 minutes on the auto, which is just again cellular regeneration. Getting that lymphatic drainage started. Because it's like cold virus flu season, so there's a bunch of things that we're like just subjected to, and the microbiome is like the new aura, right? And so like being able to shift into that and being able to like have things more homeostasis, like that balance is I think fast tracked with a lot of these modalities. And so we moved you from the vibration plate to the hug flower, the lymphatic massage, the compression therapy, the best hug you'll ever get. I think you helped me come.
There you go. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
The best hug you'll ever get. Yeah, I mean, lymphatic sounds kind of clinical.
It
So,
does sound very
a hug
clinical.
is better, right?
Yeah.
That it is so strange. Like the modern world, people don't get hugged enough. People just don't get hugged enough, and it is really kind of sad, and so it is so easy to be in your head all the time, not be embodied. And so, all these different pieces of equipment to help you just get re-embodied for a little bit. It's just so good.
Right.
It's such a good thing. And it's wild. We have such wealth, material wealth, information wealth, and we have such a poverty in some ways with feeling disconnected, right, from other people, from the world in a way, and everything. And because you're disconnected from the meat suit, and it's just all, well, I shouldn't say you, like me, right? It's just like all in my head all the time, right? It's so common, such a common thing. So, so this has been good. But now, like I said, now I'm too relaxed. So let's see what happens here.
No, you're perfect. Yeah. You get that systemic compression, and we talked about it, but we all hold those big capital bold T's, those early and often physical, sexual, emotional abuse or neglect, and those little italic T's, like those little invalidations in our body as inflammation, as pain. And most of us hold those in our less vascular areas. So, like they get more stuck, basically, is the long and the short of it. And so, like in your connective tissue, and your fascia, and your lymphatic system. And so ketamine is an anti-inflammatory, helps break those up. I always tell people it's not great for business, but no one needs ketamine, right? It's a non-specific amplifier of the human experience, all those ego dissolution agents. And ROHCT is really born out of what's those million ways to also get there, right? And the revitalizing, like our acronyms, apparently. People give me grief about how much acronyms are in my life. But ROHCT is an acronym, as you know, revitalize. So that's like, in my opinion, kind of that recognizing that you're in a pit, right? Recognizing that things could be better.
Yeah.
And then optimizing is how you start climbing out of there, right? Like optimizing is like that human connection, that movement, the vibration plate, the hug flower, the things you can start doing to make it more sustainable. And then the harmonizing is how do you live out of there, So like we get more people in ROHCT that are really trying to become the best versions of themselves, and you have that kind of mastermind. Like you and I think we have some like super fun discussions on how to help build our businesses, how to become better versions of ourselves. And I love our weekly sauna, so I'm super excited that we're kind of documenting some of that journey today.
Are we pulling back the curtain? Yeah, totally.
Well, we'll warm them up to it.
Yeah, not all at once.
No, definitely not. Yeah, so you got the hug flower with your own harmonizer, and in addition to some red light therapy, so kind of got hit by a bunch of different modalities all at once, which I think really go well together. Yeah. Especially when you come in here in the infrared sauna afterwards. So, tell me your thought of that full experience, especially experiencing your own harmonizer.
Yeah. Well, harmonizers used quite a few clinics that have lymphatic compression suits or other treatments where you're laying down just as an extra little bit of embodiment there, just something laying on your chest that's just going to vibrate and just make the experience a little bit more cozy. And I don't know. Yeah, you asked me like how I felt with that. Usually I wake up in the morning and it's just like, okay, what am I going to do today? What am I going to accomplish? It's just go, go, go. And then you invite me out here and I come out here and then you're like, here, Joel, put you on this thing. Here, lay down over here. and it's a completely different shift. And I feel like, especially as I get older, it's harder for me to get into those spaces, into being re-embodied, and maybe feeling some of the things that were easier to capture when I was younger, right? Like, I don't know if that's just calcification of my pineal gland or just like becoming older, having more responsibilities, becoming just emotionally, I don't know, constipated or whatever, where it's just like you just have so much on you, and so it's quite a shift. It's quite a shift.
Yeah, I can see it in you. Like you came in here, you're like, all right, let's record, and now you're like, like this like soul level sigh, you know.
Totally.
And you just got like a little baby version, so I'm
Yeah.
excited for you to do the full setup. You know,
Oh yeah.
You'll be, you know, limitless member here, which I'm excited for. So you get a reading the new member gong, and you get a, you know, have unlimited access, that 24/7 access, where you can come in and do this, you know, at like 11 at night, or, you know, 1 a.m. if you want to.
Yeah.
With online booking, all that fun stuff.
It's a fantastic vision. I mean, it's a great way to, you know, to structure this, to have access to all of these tools, and come and go as you please, and you're building a great community here for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Joel. I think that community aspect is so important to me, right? Like, we're able to, like, if people are disrespectful, like, they don't have to be members, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people to treat it like a house of a friend that they like, right? Where you clean up after yourself, and where you take care of things. You know, you'll wipe if you miss, kind of things, you know. And I love what you said too about the calcification, emotional constipation. You know, like, that's what, like, Flow Friday is about. That's a lot of what ROHCT is about, right? Like, that, I had that client say it once really well. It always resonates with me. Is like, we're born remembering, we forget along the way, and our job is to remember again. So getting back to that childlike play, curious state, you know, I think as an entrepreneur, I think is like ADHD, like, you have that ability to plug into that for short periods and in certain ways, but like the wider field of vision, so you need a catalyst a lot of the times, and that's what a lot of these tools act as. And there's, you know, Flow Fridays is so fun because, like, flow elements, you know, be it aerial arts, or be it like learning a new kind of flow prop, or like the flow star my son is really good at, or juggling, like that, get your brain right away into that childlike play state where you're learning something new, and you're developing, and so there's so many different ways to get there, you know. And I really want to give people all those options, that what resonates with you, because we're very individual humans, and so we should have like individual care, we should have individual kind of treatment plans, and that's really what we're all about here. And I should be all about humaning.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's it's the modern world is so darn interesting, but yeah, everyone, it seems like it's so easy to become very specialized, and that's really brings a lot of around a lot of benefit, but at the same time, you know, I see that pressure. We're both fathers. I see that pressure, you know, with your kids too. It's like, well, you've got to do something. You've got to be something. What are you going to do? How are you going to make it in this world? And yeah, all that pressure as you're going through all that, and things. I don't know. You don't want to idealize the past, but it seems like maybe things were. At least you had less options. Like, things are changing so fast, and the information is coming at people just like just a Niagara, just endless Niagaras of mostly garbage information.
Right.
And you've got to sift through all this, or try to blissfully ignore it or something. And it is just a new set of unique challenges that even our parents didn't have to deal with. In a lot of ways, we didn't have to deal with, you know.
Yeah. Like growing up without a cell phone.
Without a cell phone, exactly. So you see your own kids, and you're like, my gosh, like, what is this even doing to them? And so, yeah, brings it all back to like the space you're creating here, and just trying to help people, I think, manage and make the best of it at the same time.
Right.
All the gifts and the chaos of the modern world.
Yeah, the yes and movement, right? Like, because there's a lot of people still stuck in the no because, you know, it's like cell phones are bad because, or you know, like whatever, this is bad because, and it's like, well, yes, there's room for improvement, and nothing's inherently bad or good, in my opinion. It's like the dose makes the medicine, the dose makes the poison. Like, if you're in infrared sauna 24/7, that's probably not good for you.
No.
But if you're not saunaing at all, that's probably not good for you too, is what the latest evidence says. Like, you need to sauna like 3 times a week for the amount of environmental toxins that we get exposed to. And infrared sauna is like way better than traditional sauna as far as like clearing those toxins out faster.
Yeah. I love how is it like the Northern Europeans? It's the Finnish
Oh,
whoever.
man.
Yeah, right. They love the sauna. It's part of their culture. And before, I remember hearing that before they would even build a house, the first structure they would build is the sauna.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's that's amazing. Like we don't have that. You don't have that necessarily in the modern culture. And now it's being brought in.
People get it, yeah,
and upgraded in some ways, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it was, I think Estonia, they like a whole tradition. Like everyone in Estonia has a sauna, like
Yeah.
Finnish, and Christmas Eve, like they'll all just have a family sauna together.
Yeah.
Everyone gets in there and just hangs out, and it's nice because like your cell phone will work for maybe 10 minutes in here, and then it's just too hot for it.
Yeah.
It's like and so you get to connect with your own thoughts. You get to be present, and then we're trying to cultivate the social sauna here. So
Yeah.
4 spots, where people can book it, and then we come in and you get to learn new people. You get to meet new people.
Yeah.
And it's a co-ed sauna, so you can meet some cool people that have different belief structures than you, which I'm a big proponent of. Like, I don't learn that much with my mouth open.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, hopefully these mics hold up in here.
Oh yeah,
right?
we'll see, huh?
We'll
yeah.
see. Right. Never recorded a podcast in a sauna before. So
Me neither. We're trying something new here.
We'll do it until our brains kind of cook and just nothing good is coming out of our mouths anymore.
Yeah, that'll be when it gets interesting, right? Like the post 90 minutes in Joe Rogan podcasts, I don't think I can.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll have to have another session sometime where we go deep like that.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. No, this is a good, surface scratcher kind of get started on things. This is wild. Yeah, the sauna being dose dependent, I think, is interesting. You do it once a week, sure, that's going to help. Twice a week, better. 3 times a week, better. 4 times a week, maybe even better. Right? It's so interesting. But yeah,
I've been thinking a lot about how there's this tension with the whole wellness space too, where yes, you want to improve everything, you want to be your best version of yourself, but part of it is thinking about why is it that you want that? Because it's like we're based in the U.S. here, and this is a Christian culture, whether you like that or not, whether you go to church or you don't, it doesn't matter. There's some sort of idea of original sin that's embedded within everybody. And some of that, I feel like there's this, in the really hardcore kind of like health community, there's almost this sin laid onto it, this guilt trip laid onto it of like, well, yes, of course I only had protein and kale for breakfast and lunch and dinner. And no, I never had a chocolate covered donut. I didn't have one of those today. Like, and so, just going easy on yourself a little bit. It's interesting just that like that mindset of like sin will get transferred over regardless of if you want it to or not, because you're just swimming in this culture here and you don't know, like a fish in water, you don't know that you're in that water. And so you've got to do all these things, do it so you're going to feel better, but also recognize that that's there and try not to beat yourself up too much if you have some of your kids' mac and cheese or whatever.
Totally.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, I love that. Because, like I tell people, like, no emotion is inherently bad, right? It's like the emotional reactions that get people in trouble. And so, like, that's where, like, if you're sad and you kill yourself, like, that doesn't help anybody, right?
Yeah.
But that's a reaction to that sadness, which is understandable. Like, I was an adolescent male once,
Yeah.
and like that impulsivity is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And suicidality is like a thing that, again, like you said with Original Sin, like it's ubiquitous. Like that was 7 Reasons Why. I think it was that Netflix documentary, and that like really kind of almost glorified suicidality and committing suicide for a lot of people.
Oh man.
And it's so sad,
Yeah.
But like you said with the Original Sin, it's like I always say, name it to tame it. So like when we understand that there is a lot of judgment that comes from a patriarchal, capitalistic, Christian-based society, and you can look at that and you can examine it and you can be like, yeah, like that affects us, like if you don't get A's or 4s, then, your people might give you grief about that, or your, like, and you give yourself grief about it. We're all our own worst critics, I think, in large part. Like, you think that someone is judging you, you're probably judging yourself 10 times worse. They probably don't care as much as you think they do.
Oh yeah, that internal demon.
Mm-hmm.
I envy people who don't have that. I was having this discussion with my son about how amazing it would be to be one of those people that is wired to be just like a full-on self-aggrandizing cult leader level narcissist, where like you have like no internal critic. You're just feeling amazing all the time. Like, can I get a taste of that, please? Instead of just like this nagging internal dialogue, right? So,
I went to school about like we all exist on the continuum of every disorder, right? And so like most of us are this much autistic, right? And some of us are this much, and some of us are this much, and the bell curve distribution is true with like narcissism as well, and psychosis, right? Like I'll hear Casey. I'm like, did you call my name? And everyone's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, oh,
there it is.
Just kidding. And it's real. I think like most people experience some symptoms of everything, but to plug truly into those like full on, it's hard to do when that's not how you're programmed.
And all that gets the framing on that of psychology and mental illness, mental disorders, that also is tainted or colored by this whole original sin thing. I didn't know we were going to be talking about this, but like it makes so much sense. It's like, well, oh, you have this problem. This is your thing. You have this. It's like, well, maybe that's a problem. Maybe part of that, you could use to your advantage or other people's advantage as well, right? Maybe if you can learn how to, tame and just direct your ADHD or whatever, you can hyper focus on something that's useful and that's interesting to you and maybe interesting to other people, right?
100%.
And that instead we're just trying to squash that, like just pray it away, take it, or pill it away, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to pill it away. That's the mindset. Like, we have something wrong with you. That's not a gift, and then let's suppress that.
Yeah.
And if we can bloody monetize that too, and make someone money off your back, that's even better.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, I have a whole episode on ADHD for the Mental Wealth Moves podcast. And I always talk about that, like, I think the two diagnoses are trauma and ADHD in psychiatry. Everything else is coping strategies for the trauma. And ADHD is like really superpower, you know? And the problem, I'm never medicating for the person, I'm medicating for society, right?
Yeah.
Your strengths will always be your strengths, and weaknesses will always be your weaknesses. So you should hone your strengths and farm out your weaknesses. Like, I'm a big proponent of aptitude testing early in school. And so like if you're super mechanical and super physical, like we should get you like in an engineering gymnastics school, and then like, but instead we're like, you need to have 10% English, 10% math, 10% science. And then like that does such a disservice because people feel like they're stupid when they're gifted and amazing, but they don't get a chance to fully embody that. It's particularly in school until they either go the entrepreneurial route or, they have a good mentor at some point in their life, or they realize how broken the system is and bust out of it.
Oh yeah. We should do just an entire sauna session and recording just on education and all of that. Cause we're both parents.
Yeah.
And there's so much there. And it's amazing how you could have a kid who could be getting straight A's in everything, except for one subject. And let's say for whatever reason, they're not good at it. They get a C minus. Maybe they even, God forbid, the horror, they fail it.
Right.
They get a D or whatever. Or in Harry Potter's world, T for troll. Right? I mean, then you're made to feel like a failure,
Right.
like unreal, right? Because it's the normalization, right? Like school was originally called the normal school, and it was about how do we create a system and a framework so we can standardize all these little kids, these little human beings, to habituate them and make them tolerate factory work for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Right. Yeah, because it was the Rockefellers, right,
And
that were creating good employees. And I mean, even I think university 4-year programs, in large part, are proving that you can jump through hoops and proving that you can be a good employee more so than a good thinker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's where we're at right now, where the society is so it is so well functioning. It's so complex that you need all this specialization, and so everyone gets put on a very linear kind of track where it's like, okay, you are going to be molded into this cog, and we're going to put you in the machine here,
right,
until you get replaced by AI.
Yeah. I think that's the yes and, right? It's like yes, and we needed that to come up with like this next level technology.
Absolutely.
And now we're recognizing that we can have bots and other things fill those more technical roles. And then, I'm a big proponent of like the living wage. So then you could start actually pursuing your passion. Because I think a lot of people, particularly when they have like ego dissolution agent work. I did that big talk yesterday, psychedelic psychiatry, trauma resolution through ego dissolution. And so many people come out of those types of experiences with these insights on like more so of what their life's purpose should be and what they should be kind of working on. And you can get there through breath work. You can get there through good human connection, so like, I don't mean always traditional psychedelics and or ego dissolution agents, but like being able to plug into that and recognition of, hey, like I should be more than a cog in a wheel. And that another point I want to touch on with that, like that siloing that occurs, like Casey means and like her stuff. And like, it was really interesting because she's like, really high level, specialized physician that was like really indoctrinated into the system as I was too, 20 plus years in healthcare to, kind of that pill for every problem mentality, like with ADHD, when really, I think we did such a disservice, and hindsight's 2020, and maybe we needed that to get here, but being able to separate the medical from the spiritual, from the psychological, or the physical, and so really it should be holistic. We should have all those aspects going together for best treatment outcomes. And when you have like a specialist that, like your hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? You go see a back surgeon for back pain, they're going to probably tell you should get back surgery. I think 9 times out of 10. And they'll go through the ladder, but if your back pain doesn't get better with opioids or steroid injections, which it never does. I went to a good talk by back surgeons up here, Dr. Brad Nickel and Nate Avery, when Nate Avery was still around. And may he rest in peace. Best life ever. I love that bumper sticker. We have that. He's a cool cat. We hung out at Lake Powell and stuff. But they said the one guarantee they can give when they give back surgery for back pain is that they will give you back pain.
Oh my gosh.
There's no other guarantees they'll give you.
Just imagine that's your profession.
Right.
That's brutal.
It's rough, man. Yeah, like traditional psychiatry, it was so soul crushing because like every medication I'd give, you think of that mood waveform, and it just squishes it. You just less everything, and again, nothing's inherently good or evil. Like if something about your situation sucks, and you need like something to kind of get you through your day to day, and it helps you get out of bed, and it helps you go see your therapist, and it helps you have that better understanding of what needs to shift, then all means go for it. There's a lot of room for improvement, I feel. Tell me about your crosswalk. Your crosswalk, I love that one.
The what?
The crosswalk talk.
Oh,
crosswalk etiquette. Are we there yet?
Are we there? Yeah. I don't know what I'm just thinking. I don't know what the heck you're gonna call. What you're going to title this podcast, because we've had no We've had no theme,
no,
no central line. We've just been rambling.
Sauna Talk 1.
We've just been rambling. No, save the crosswalk for later.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, back to bringing it back to education. I mean, this is why it needs to change, right? Because we have all these new tools, we have all this new understanding, and the old system is clearly, the current system, which is an old system, is clearly not functioning well for a lot of people, and it certainly isn't going to function well for like the kids that think differently, the neurodivergent, the real mavericks, the kids that are gonna, there's gonna be a kid out there who's gonna be horrible at some subjects, but then they're gonna be a genius in physics or mathematics, and they're gonna be in the current system just hammered and made to feel like a failure instead of that gift that they have being cultivated. And we should be able to find a way to accommodate and celebrate and grow these people and get the gifts that they are capable of putting out there in the world, instead of just making them feel like failures because your English scores kind of suck, Billy.
Totally.
Right? Like, it's just the wildest thing. And so here we are, and you've got kids, I've got kids. We've got to navigate all this, and it just, so much of it comes down to just awareness. Like I think about generationally, like this generation of parents is Gen X and millennials. They're paying attention to their kids in a way that people didn't in the past, I think, and helping them, because the world, like, it used to be very easy, where it was like, well, you're either going to go to vocational school or you're going to go to college, and there's a track. And now it's just like the world is so hyper complex, and there are so many grifts and hustles out there that you don't want your kids to fall prey to. And so you have to figure out how to help them navigate this whole thing.
Right. And then like there's so many things that we don't understand, that if you like let them get back into their curious state, like, and try to hone that while like reducing what we know to be toxic, kind of the doom scroll. Like, how do you let them plug into that physics gift, or maybe like like I was talking to my buddy last night, the magical internet money, right? Like, where is this stuff coming from? Like Mr. Beast, who I think was on, he was on Huberman Lab or Joe Rogan or something, and he was like, yeah, if I lost everything, I could create a faceless YouTube channel that would make millions of dollars a year like tomorrow. And so having those kind of people that have learned a new skill set that didn't have a playground for even a decade ago. Like, there's more things coming than there have ever been that we don't even know about, and that's wild to try to fathom. Like the digital currencies, the intricacies of AI, the robotics, like the intricacies of robotics coming down the pipeline. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening that if we can let kids plug into their superpowers and build them up, because I think a big part of the problem with the educational system, like if you, and it's a age-old adage, and it's ultimately true in large part, and I think in part because of the compensation, is like those who can't do teach, right? Particularly in grade school. Like, I think younger grade school is better because more people are often passionate about it, but the amount of kids that have been browbeat, again, original sin, like pulling back to that, and browbeat themselves. Like, you see, your intelligent child who is intelligent, and they get that 2 or that 1, which is like the C or D or F even, and you're like, oh man, you can do better. But then we're working 60-hour weeks on our own stuff, and our kids, who are my favorite freaking people, they spend more time with their teachers than they do with me in a week, and that makes me so sad. Like that shift, like, I think can occur at a societal level, and I think there's more awareness of it. Like, again, that name it to tame it for so many different things. And I'm excited for what's to come. I see these microcosms of growth, you know, and there's more people becoming aware and having these discussions. And these are the kind of discussions that I think are occurring in the sauna without being recorded. Like we were doing that. And, you know, I want to be able to bring more of this to the world and have more like light shine on things that we know like we can do, right? Like, so it's like, that's the integration work, right? Like, because you name it to tame it, you feel it to heal it, and then you move forward. And so, like,
I love the rhyming, dude.
It's all over the place.
Love it.
Dude, my talk, my buddy pointed it out. So it's a psychedelic psychiatry, trauma resolution through ego dissolution, and so, and then you acronym trauma resolution through ego dissolution, and it's TRT and ED.
I mean, so we're this is horrible because we both are happy to just take tangents everywhere. I love it. I mean, you know your kids better than they know themselves for quite a few years. And your job, I think, is to observe them and put things in front of them, and what they latch on to. You should go hard on that.
I love that.
And what they don't like, fine, then take that plate away, but put different things in front of them, see what happens, and be, you know, and it doesn't, people can be so practical. It's just, it really, it shows a real lack of faith, I think, in the universe to be so practical and say, well, if I help my kid develop this skill, what is that going to do for them, for their life or their career? It's like, you have no idea what happens when you take a kid and they have maybe 3 completely dissimilar interests, and you push hard and you help them cultivate all those. They in the future could combine those into something that you just simply can't predict. And that is just, it's so interesting to me how that works.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think like the Japanese ikigai, right? Like, you know, that one with the Venn diagram. So it's like, like what you're good at, what you're passionate about, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. Like the overlap of those. And so I love what you're saying, where you put these kind of like broad themed things in front of your child, and then you recognize like they do have strengths, inherent strengths that probably aren't your strengths, you know, like they may have some overlap. And there's, you know, genetically like a good predisposition that some of their strengths align with some of your strengths, and that's not always true, you know. And so being curious with what their inherent interests and strengths are, and then being able to create an environment that's conducive to those strengths growing and being built up, you know, because I think that's a big thing for kids, especially being in psychiatry. Like I was only child provider at the guidance center for a couple of years, and that was fun. It was actually fun because I was like the only, oftentimes, like bright light in a kid's life where there was like positive reinforcement, and you know, like I always think people are doing the best they can with what they have. And so like when a parent, you know, was like physically and sexually and emotionally abused and neglected, and all they're doing is like emotionally abusing their kid, I'm like, hey, high five, you broke a lot of intergenerational trauma there.
Wow. Right? That's a reframe.
But I mean, it's still really hard to see, and it's a huge growth, you know, for that genetic line. Like we're all winners, right, out of hundreds of millions of swimmers. So being born into this, and then being able to recognize in those kids that I was treating, that, you know, for every one negative that you give as a parent or a caregiver or a teacher, you should be giving 3 to 5 positives. As far as like commentary, you know, like, hey, like, why are you still not doing the dishes? And then it's like, then you gotta like be cognitively aware of it and be like, hey, you know, really good job with the laundry, nice work with your room. Oh, that was super cool seeing you interact with your brother like that. And then, you know, like trying to keep like a mental track in your brain, it is like again, muscle memory, right? Trying to build it. And so I think it's super important for human beings, even within yourself, to do that for yourself, like 3 to 5 positives for every one negative.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Oh man, that's not happening. That's not happening. Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet, right? Yeah. Yeah.
The original sin.
Yeah. You got to you have to rewire. It's so easy once you have a habitual thought pattern, positive or negative. It's easy to keep firing that off.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's what the ketamine treatments, like the series of 6 and the 1 month booster, like I built that based on Huberman Lab podcast on and James Clear, like the science of habit creation and habit breaking in human beings. Wide variability between 18 and 80 days to create new habits and to break old habits, right? They're like sled tracks that turn into toboggan trails, in regards to how you perceive yourself. And so having that fresh fallen snow, that neuroplasticity, so important to be able to break through those. And it's, there's no silver bullet, no panacea, no million silver BBs, right?
Yeah.
So sauning and cold plunging and hanging out with friends and dancing and working towards big goals for yourself. Like, it's like, it's awesome. It's fun. I love it.
It is fun. Yeah. Everyone should do it. Yeah.
Everyone should do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. How do we wrap this up in a bow? What do we do?
I think we probably need to make a commitment to try to have at least a theme that we start out with and that we actually announce at the beginning for the next recording and say, this is maybe what we'll try to focus on. But probably no guarantees. I don't see the chances being high that we're going to stick on any one topic. But,
we'll have AI boil it down. It'll tell us what our theme was.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, my next time, I'm gonna wear 2 or 3 hats and see if I can really cook my brain in here.
Perfect. I'll make you do the whole 20 minutes on the hug flower, and then you'll be super zen. And then we'll do the third one where we don't do any of that. You'll come in super tightly wound. You'll be on a deadline.
We'll drink coffee.
We'll drink coffee.
Horrible. Yeah. Do a whole show on stimulants.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I mean, we both have interesting, I guess, paths towards contact with like the psychedelic and ego dissolution state. So that could be an interesting place to go.
Yeah.
We're both interested in entrepreneurship. We can talk about some of those different projects and whatever. Although there's some projects I can't talk about right now.
Yeah, that's fun.
But yeah, the whole psychedelic thing is an interesting thing. I feel like probably too old and terrified of that state in many ways, which is an interesting. That in and of itself is an interesting discussion.
Yeah. Michael Pollan, the psychedelics are wasted on the youth, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's not a waste at all.
It just brings light to how we used to think like, you turn 25 and your brain just dies, right? Like you just become older and stupider and inability to teach old dogs new tricks. And now we know that's not true. Yeah. Like you can grow new neurological connections and dendrites up until the day you die, at 90, 100, whatever. And so like being able to like speak to that, I think in depth would be a super interesting podcast topic. And I think we could both go deep on that. I don't guarantee that we won't go tangential either, but I think the tangents are super fun. So yeah, we could do an ADHD one for sure with stimulants, and I think we touched on a bunch of that stuff today. We touched on a little bit of ego dissolution agent. I think probably if I were to kind of encapsulate a lot of what we talked about, it's like that room for improvement and that as a society, and that it feels like it's on that trajectory because there's more awareness.
Things are amazing. They're only going to get better.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I think like the cautious optimist in me. That's how I like to term my kind of overarching beliefs.
Who wants to be a pessimist to be proven right?
Right.
Then you're just an a-hole.
Totally. That sounds really nice.
That's probably.
I think we all have a little bit of that.
Yeah. Thanks, Casey. Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Yeah. Podcast Sauna number 1. That's how we'll summarize.
Heck yeah.
how, we should have you like real quick, just, and I'll put it at the beginning instead of the end. But like, how would you introduce yourself? Like, I would say you're Joel. You're, a student of life. You're a family man. You have created some really rad stuff already in your time. You created the harmonizer. You're working on some really cool red light therapy stuff. You're working on some really cool vibrational stuff. And in addition to, you found a unique species of mushroom up here on the peaks that was unknown until your discovery. And what else would you say about all the rad stuff that you've done in this world, Joel?
Oh man, yeah, I think that sums it up. I mean, yeah, I'm in that very small club of people who discovered a new species of psychedelic mushroom, and so that's an interesting experience, interesting thing to play around with. But yeah, I don't know, random inventor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you make some
Random
cool stuff.
inventor of things.
Your harmonizer is so cool. People love that thing. We use it at the ketamine clinics.
Yeah.
We use it here. Like, everyone who experiences it is like, wow, I need to get one of these. I was like, yes, you do. These things are amazing. And so we got your sticker. We got the ROHCT, logo on there, so people can pick one of those up. And those, so great at like down regulating the autonomic nervous system response. People sleep easier. You have the cool settings on it. You've got the purring cat, the Tibetan singing bowls, the Schumann resonance, the crashing ocean, all that cool stuff.
Let's do it.
Sauna number 4.
Yeah, sauna number 4. We'll go deeper on all that stuff.
I love that.
I don't want to bore people with it now.
That's super cool though. They can come experience it today at ROHCT.
Yeah.
Open house today. Probably not today when they're listening to it, but maybe. See how motivated I get.
Totally.
All right, buddy. Well, I think that probably sums it up, huh?
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another Mental Wealth Moves podcast. I'm your host, Casey Dubrovic. You just listen. Hello, and thank you for joining. Words. Thank you for joining another Mental Wealth Moves podcast. I'm your host, Casey Dubrovic, owner and founder of Revitalized Ketamine Clinic, ROHCT Wellness Bar, and co-founder of Epic Biosciences. I hope that you enjoyed Joel and I's conversation today. Remember, what's good for you is good for the universe. Take care and make it a great day. Mental Wealth Moves podcast, where the best investment you can ever make is in yourself.